What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are live. It is Monday afternoon, Monday, 2 o'clock. Hope you all had a great weekend. Hope you're doing really well. Ready to just get really into work this week. Do some really good things. Kill our business. Not kill our business, but kill in business, I guess. Welcome back to the channel. This is the live stream where we're trying to figure out how to build a $1 million business. And for today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this live stream itself, and we're going to dissect it a little bit and see if there's ways that we can figure out how we could maybe make the streams a little bit more relevant to what it is that I'm trying to do and what we're trying to build here. Because one thing that I find that, everyone's time's valuable. My time is valuable. Your time is valuable. I mean, everyone's time is super valuable. And I think I would like to think about shortening these live streams, make them like between 20 and 30 minutes, get to a certain point of something that I want to discuss and what we're doing in the business. And then kind of that's it, right? So like if you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to figure out how to start your business. It's like take little like nuggets of information here and there and try to apply it into your own business, right? So that's kind of the direction that I'm thinking of heading in. And of course, with that, it just means this thing, I really gotta fix this thing because it's just driving me insane. What was I saying? I can't even remember what I'm saying now. I'm just getting myself so flustered with this thing. Right, so I do have a few notes here I'm looking at. So let's go back to what we talked about last week, and I'm gonna share my screen here. And what we did, no, that's not the right button. So let me bring this over onto this side so it can be seen. So we can see here, we took some time to figure out what it is exactly that we're doing with our businesses or with our business. So we have our pixel media, which is what we're working on, which is what this stream is going to be focusing on. We kind of developed our why statement. It's to help people and businesses basically bring their visions to life, and we want to help them by creating products that help bring value to their audience, and then they can in turn make more money. That's what we all kind of want to do in business, help people but be rewarded for that help as well. And then for the unconventional mindset, which is the podcast that we're going to be making, where we're going to be talking to people that are doing their own doing their business so we can learn from them. And the idea behind that, of course, there's going to be a newsletter kind of attached to that, is to inspire people to start their own businesses so they can live life with purpose and achieve financial and personal freedom. That's what we're trying to build here. That's what I'm trying to do. That is one of my, I don't want to say lifelong goals, but because I think I'm going to achieve it, within the next year or two. So I'm going to have other goals too. But it's like one of those major, major goals that if you can achieve that, I think then like the sky's the limit. So, and what do we do here? And we just kind of talked a little bit about what Pixel does and then what the unconventional mindset does. Yeah. Let's just see if there's anything here to take away. So we're going to talk a little bit about this and what we're doing with Pixel. Probably talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, and we have goals. Yeah, okay, so what I want to do, let's put this one off to the side. Let's open up a new sheet. And let's zoom in a little bit more. So what I want to do, let's take a look at the live stream. Building a $1 million business. So maybe something that might even be interesting here is we can think of what is the purpose of the stream. And I could say, let's see what we can think of here. The process. of creating center that of creating a company in, let's just say, yearly revenue. So I could say, like, I could talk a little bit about what excuse me, what my lifelong goal or vision is. And that's to provide a blueprint So yeah, so think about when Pixel ends up being $1 million company, and then every day I've been spending here talking exactly about what I've been doing, what's been working, what hasn't been working, and then that would be a blueprint that people can kind of take with them to say, like, because it's easy to watch YouTube channels and videos of people that are highly successful, give you information about, oh, you just do this, and that, which is fantastic information, by the way. Not knocking that at all in any way whatsoever. Because that stuff is gold, but it's the implementation that's the day-to-day stuff that is not sexy. It's boring. You're sending out emails, you're doing marketing, you're just grinding away over and over and over again. That's the boring stuff that nobody really knows or really sees. And so if you can see that, to see what it takes and see what dedication and hard work and consistency can do, that is what the purpose is. So that's kind of something that I want to show and that I want to do. So that being said, so that's the purpose. Let's take a look at the format. So what I'm thinking, 20 or 30 minutes to discuss, so quick and to the point, to showcase or highlight a specific point or topic. Whoop, little grammar error there. And one thing that I was thinking about is that each day could be, I don't know how to say this. I just want to say that each day there could be a different theme for the live stream. Right. So, for example, let's take a look. We can have a weekly recap. So we discuss what we discuss what we accomplished the previous week. Take a look at the numbers. Review what worked, and what didn't, and plan out for the current week. Right? So that could be, on Mondays or Fridays. Maybe Mondays would probably be the best day. So Monday, you come back from the weekend. Okay. How was last week? What did you accomplish? Oh, well, I sent out 30 emails to potential podcast guests. I sent out 50 emails to potential customers or clients. I did this work for clients. Whatever the case may be, just recap that week. And you could also say, well, I decided to do this kind of test on, the newsletter. How did it work? What did we learn? Oh, it didn't work. It did work, so we're going to keep doing it. Things like that, just to discuss what happened. And then we could look at the numbers and say, oh, well, we did these things, and then we found out that our growth grew an extra, we had a 5% growth, therefore we want to keep going, what have you. Or if there was a decline, we can discuss them and then kind of go from there. So that could be something that we can do consistently every week, which is something I think that is good for the business to do anyways, to figure out kind of what direction it is that you're going, and making sure that we're taking steps forward in the right direction, right? There's always times your business is going to kind of wind this way and that way to get to the objective, but as long as you're kind of heading towards the right direction, then I think that is all good. So it's a good idea to do those recaps. So now there's a lot of different ideas that we could talk about, and I'm not sure which ones are going to be the best. So we'll kind of play around with things and see how things go. So financial. So I think learning about finances and finances within business, I think, is very, very important. You need to understand how things work in a business and how things can work in life in order to make good business deals or what have you. And I think spending some time discussing what I've learned and what I still want to learn, all those things, is a good thing to do and to discuss. So we'll talk about financial education and things we need to learn about business finances and how to apply them to our company. Yeah, there could be other things too, and geez, I don't even know how to really explain it. Another thing that we can focus on every week is to talk about branding. So we could analyze the marketing strategy that we're doing or the communications. And ideally, we could go a little bit into the theory. Behind creating a brand, and talk about like the actions, right? The actions that you do. Do you want to make sure they align with your values? So again, with this, there's so many different topics and things that we can discuss, and things that I can discuss and talk about and plan for my business, right, in Pixel. Because really the idea is to kind of take these themes and just work on them within the business and see how they help the business move forward. So I think the idea, we can kind of, if it's okay for me to say this, is that I want the live streams to be less about, hey, me just sitting down and just doing work, kind of just random work, but to shift more towards thinking about how we want to plan and execute certain things. And I'll do the work off screen, I guess you can say. If it ends up being that you guys would rather see me just do the work as opposed to maybe talking about what I'm doing and strategizing, then we can certainly think about doing that as well too. And I'm just thinking that maybe doing more of the strategizing and thinking and doing a little bit of the work and showcasing how I'm going to actually implement these things and then discussing how they've actually went. I feel like that might be more value, and then we can kind of condense that into a much tighter format and packaging. Okay, this is another idea. Andrea came up with this idea. I think it's pretty nifty, but I was going to call it, well, I don't know what to call it at all, but the idea is if I were the CEO, or if I were the CEO, something like that. So the idea here would be to analyze stories and, I'm not spelling that right, am I? And scenarios that you see online about how a company handled a situation and discuss how I would have done it differently. So I'm not sure exactly how it would play out because, again, it's very difficult for me to say how I would handle a situation if I was running a $10 million company, because I have no idea what it's like to run a $10 billion company. So I think the idea here would really be to just have fun discussions and just get us into the idea of thinking about how we would relate to certain situations, because sooner rather than later, hopefully, we'll all be in that scenario where our companies are getting to the point where we have to deal with disgruntled customers or clients, or we have to deal with really bad employees, or something really bad happened with social media or something like that, right? So to just kind of see what's out there and to think about it and to just kind of not role play, but I guess it would be like a role playing thing, is not bad thought exercises to have as someone who's, interested in business. Something else we could talk about. So branding too, we can also within here talk about customer service. I don't know if that could be something that you can do a whole segment on its own about how we want to treat customers, but we'll see how things kind of go on, because it all fits. Like everything you do, for me, the way I think about branding is that everything that you do that is external, that anything would see, everything ties into branding. Like that's branding. And your brand is basically what other people think of you. When they hear Pixel, what is it that they think of, right? So I want to figure out what I want my brand to be, and and then that goes to what your values are. And then, are you living up to those values every time you do something? And then if you do, your brand should align with your values, and people should align when they think, well, Pixel, oh yeah, they're, top-notch, design principles. And then the value of Pixel as a company would be, the most beautiful web designs ever, right? Like that's just what our values are. So we need to make sure that every website that we spit out is beautiful. And then people will start to associate a beautiful website with Pixel, right? So those are the kind of things that I'm thinking about. So building a brand is something that takes time to do. And if you've been listening to any of the news lately and seeing just how quickly a brand could be destroyed with like one tweet or one misstep in marketing, it's phenomenal. So and fascinating, very fascinating. Okay, so I'm trying to think now. There could be one. I like this. Tools of the trade. Just a discussion and showcase of the tools that Pixel uses or investigates if we should use it. And how it benefits the company. Because there's lots and lots of tools out there for you to use. So the idea to just kind of take an episode to talk about something that we use and see how it could be beneficial for other people, I think that would be a pretty good thing. But really to kind of talk about how it's beneficial for our business again, because I always want to, got to remember to keep this in the lens of what are we doing to build ourselves up to a $1 million company. That's the whole purpose of the stream. So I gotta, the purpose of the stream is not to teach per se, but to showcase what we do. And if people want to take that information and then they do find value from it in terms of, hey, I could do that with my business as well too, then that's great. But it's not to teach. Like, I'm not here to teach anybody how to make a $1 million business right now. If it comes to the point where I do make a $1 million business, then I probably have some things that I can say about what it takes. But for now, we're documenting the process. We're not educating people on how to do something, because that would be so disingenuous and so just fake, basically, because I can't teach anybody how to make $1 million. No way, no how. Hopefully I can get to the point where I can, because I've done it. That's the goal. That is the goal. And that brings me a little bit, I don't know if this is a thing or not. Or maybe I'll just say, oh my goodness, I can't spell at all. So business philosophy, I like to think about this in terms of what I think is good for business and how I want my business to run, regardless of, like, it's not always about making the most money possible. This is how I want to do business. And if it means I have to sacrifice making, X amount of dollars instead of Y, then so be it, because that's the philosophy. As an example, maybe the philosophy is that we only want to do businesses with other companies that, oh my goodness, I don't know, that use a specific, like, let's get, I don't want to get political or anything like that, but let's just say we only want to do business with other companies that do business with Webflow, as an example. So if that was the case, then another company that does stuff with WordPress and says, hey, we want to partner with Pixel and blah, 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 and here's a, $100,000 deal. And we're like, well, you know what? Our philosophy is that we only do WordPress, we only do Webflow, so we can't do WordPress. We're sorry, but that's just our philosophy, right? Leaving money on the table, but that's a personal philosophy. So to discuss business philosophies and why we have them, and obviously being open to refining them over time, I think those could lead to some interesting discussions. And I think it's important to think about why it is that you do certain things within the business. And maybe that's more, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're doing more like workshopping of, say, the Simon Sinek, finding out your why, like what's the why of your company. And then when you flesh that out, then you could figure out the how and the what. And then those things are, well, how are you going to do these kinds of things? And you set up some core values or core principles of how your business is going to operate, and then discuss and think about how you're going to take those core values and bring it out to the world and into the products that you make and the services and all that kind of stuff. And that's like how things kind of filter down, just discussing and figuring things out. And the idea for me is to have a business that is such a well-oiled machine that everyone knows exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're doing it, and that things kind of just work and can just run, like I said, like a well-oiled machine. That is kind of the place that I would want to go. And I think setting up specific ways of thinking and philosophies of how we want to do business is going to help with that. So figuring all that out, I think, is a good thing, and discussing it, I think, will be a pretty good thing to do. And again, a lot of these things, maybe they won't make sense to talk about them every week. Maybe some of them will, some of them won't. We could switch them around. It depends on what's going on with business. If business is really, really busy on something, or we're doing a really big marketing campaign or what have you, maybe we're going to spend more time talking about that. So things could ebb and flow. But I think it would be nice so that if you know that, oh, Mondays is a recap and Tuesdays, oh, they're going to talk about finances. And I'm really interested in finances. Wednesdays is going to be branding. And then Thursdays is going to be like this philosophical discussion on business. I'm really interested in that in my business. And then on Fridays, we're going to talk about kind of the tools that we use. And like there's already more than what we got 6 here. So there's more. So like, you know what I mean? So we're going to figure out how we can kind of structure this in a way that you know what to expect. I know what to expect. And then we can all, I don't know, make sure our expectations are met. I don't know. Okay. Oh, so this brings this tools of the trade. So there's other thing too that I like, that I think about. You know, when you're reading a book, like if you're reading like the Simon book, Start With Why, or if you're reading like there's a Gary Vaynerchuk, there's lots of Gary Vaynerchuk books that I've read. I think it's Crushing It. And he has like jab, jab, right hook, jab, 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 right hook. I think that's what's called. But anyways, when you're reading a business book and you read them, you kind of like, oh yeah, I'm inspired, whatever, but you never actually do anything. So I think it would be really fantastic if we take a book, or if I watch a video, or whatever the case may be, to just write down one specific objective that I want to take out, or not objective, but an action that I can do that I learned from that book to actually do and implement it into the business, right? So for example, if I read Crushing It, and then I could spend one day and say, like, I read this book, Crushing It, here's is a statement that really resonated, you know, go over it with you guys or what have you, talk about it and say, I think this is really fantastic. And this is a lesson that I learned from it. And I'm going to try to implement that into Pixel, and we're going to see what happens. And then that could be part of, you know, the weekly recap or what have you, where we're going to track how well that's going and how well it's actually improving our business. So it'd become even like a proof of concept too, for reading specific books and watching podcasts and watching other people that are very successful that I, you know, admire and get inspiration from, to see how well that I could implement the things that they talk about, to see how well they work, and to show everyone that, you know, if you do actually take the time to implement and do the things that these other millionaires give advice on, then you could be successful. So, recap of a book podcast where a specific actionable takeaway is made and then incorporated and tracked in Pixel. Yeah, I think that would be good. Like if you're reading a book on, you know, how to learn how to do the splits. If you're reading that book and you're like, oh, that sounds really cool, but you don't actually do the work, then how the hell are you going to get to the splits? So if we read the book and says, okay, every day I'm going to stretch for 10 minutes doing these 3 movements, we can be damn sure that I'm going to record myself doing those 3 movements every single day, so I can get to the point where I'm going to be able to get to do the splits and to see if it actually works, right? So, you know, switch that example to something business related, and then, you know, that's what we'll do. So for example, maybe it could be something about creating X amount of YouTube short videos every single day. Oh, excuse me. Or reach out to a certain amount of people every single day on Twitter or whatever. We'll figure out what that is, what that takeaway is, and we'll try it. We'll put it into action, and we'll see how well it works. Okay. So then, of course, oh, excuse me, man. Maybe not so much coding, but developing. So there could be something where we could spend one day of the week doing the actual behind the scenes, working in Webflow, doing some development, or doing some design work in Photoshop, whatever the case may be, there could be something that we could do for that, where it could be once a week. It's, all right, let's go take a look at our website. Let's do some improvements. Let's do some search engine optimization. And, we're just kind of, taking care of our, digital assets. Let's just call it that. Building. Really just working on the digital. I want to say digital assets. Yeah, working on the digital assets within the business. And that could be like the websites, newsletters, the podcast, and like the YouTube videos. So whatever, right? Just like the boring work of going in and actually just doing stuff that needs to get done within the business, right? So that could be another thing. Yeah. And what I would say is this point 8 about doing that kind of stuff, that's predominantly the things that I was doing like so far in this stream. Just doing a lot of, I guess you could say doing some of the philosophical stuff where I was kind of planning things out and what have you. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on these themes, if this is a good way to move forward, and if you think that you would find more value if these live streams were a little bit more structured. Very much like to know what you think, what your thoughts are. And I think that's it. I think that's all I need to say for today. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take some time and I'm going to think about this a little bit more. I'm going to clean it up. Please do let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you think, because of course, I'm also wanting to build something that is going to be, or not build something. Build a live stream that is entertaining to you and also provides you with some value. So do let me know what you think. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Tomorrow, I should say what I'm going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're probably going to go over, actually not probably, we are. I've been doing some updates to Pixel Media and to the website because we are revamping our whole business model a little bit, because we're, as we talked about the other day, we're going to go switch maybe to a little bit more of a productized system, as opposed to just contact us and then we'll talk about how much it's going to cost and then we'll figure out a price point. Now it's more of a click here, buy, we do the work, and you become part of the system or whatever. It's like productizing the service. And we'll talk about that, and because we're going to release that, and then we're going to talk about where that's going to go and what that means for the future of Pixel. All right. So with that being said, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, very much appreciated. And I will see you tomorrow with a brand new live stream. All right, guys. Until then, have a good night.